Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, and welcome to Black Table Talk. I am your host, Shantae Charles. It is Women's History Month. Yesterday was Harriet Tubman Day and the National Day Black Women's Day off. Although for me, it was quite a not a day off. Why do I say that? Because nonsense. Having to deal with nonsense. And waking up this morning and still having to deal with more nonsense. I wanted to read today We Will Rest. We Will Rest by Tricia Hersey. Highly recommended if you're looking for um, something to enjoy for yourself for this month. I am enjoying it. I wanted to read a little bit of that today, but nope, can't do that. I wanted to read from Meditations for Black Women 75 Mindful Reflections. But nope, I'm not doing that today either. And I wanted to read from Rock My Soul by Bell Hooks, Black People and Self Esteem, which we still need to work on. But I'm not reading from that either. Instead, I'm going to do a short morning devotional, and then we're going to talk about what's gotten the Black community yet again riled up. And we're not talking about the boycott. That I've already have enough posts on that and how you can be operating and participating in boycotts because there are various ways to do that. You can search my posts on Black Table Talk and you'll all you have to do is type in boycotting a thread and it'll pull up all the information that I have on my page about boycotting. So no, we're not talking about that. But we're going to talk about this devotional, and then we're going to go straight into talking about our treatment of Black girls in our community. Because this is a public conversation that's happening. Um, I'm not going to say everything I would say in a closed setting with our community, but I'm going to say enough. I'm going to say enough, and then I'm going to bring my friend on who's going to share with me in some back and forth dialogue about the topic. So let's start first with our devotional. Let's do a little calming first. There goes the neighborhood. Phyllis A. Wallace, first African American female to receive a doctorate in economics from Yale, said this, and I think it's so key to the conversation we're going to have today. The kind of ancestors we have is not as important as the kind of descendants our ancestors have. Somebody take that, write it today, put it out somewhere. I think it's a powerful statement. Again, it's by Phyllis A. Wallace. The kind of ancestors we have is not as important as the kind of descendants our ancestors have. One of the most important aspects of the study of achievement is training the eyes to see properly. Sight is an interesting phenomenon. We see things not as they are, but as we are. That's another statement that you can share somewhere out there. Just put it out. We see things not as they are, but as we are. We're not healed. We got unhealed lenses. We got unhealed lenses. We got unhealed lenses. And we have a lot of unhealed lenses in our community. I know people are going to get upset with that. They probably don't want to hear it. That's all right. I've been doing this for 25 years. I ain't scared. I done heard it all, seen it all, been cussed out more times than I could care to understand. But when your lens is not clean, everything you see out of that lens won't be clean. Okay? Our perception is shaped by past experiences. Perception shapes past experience. Projection often comes from perceptions shaped by past experiences, according to our faith and consciousness. In other words, seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. We can only see in others what lies within ourselves. There's a story of a man who comes to the outskirts of town. There he finds a gatekeeper sitting quietly. The traveler tells the gatekeeper that he has just left his old town and that he is thinking of moving there. What's this city like? He asks. What was it like in the city you just left? Responds the gatekeeper. It was a lousy place. The people weren't too friendly. Well, that's just what you'll find here, explained the gatekeeper. The traveler moved on. A few hours later, another man with a suitcase arrived seeking a home. What's this town like? The stranger asked. What was your old town like? The gatekeeper shot back. Oh, it was a nice place. The people were friendly and caring. I really hated to leave, but I had to take a new job. Well, that's what you'll find here, the gatekeeper contended, and the man happily entered the city. How we use the function of sight is crucial to our finding and receiving what we want out of life. Success, love, and abundance are not given to a privileged few. Those who enjoy happiness do so because they have learned to see with their inner eye. Affirmation today: I will see the good in others because I will see the good in myself. I think this is a very, very powerful statement. Now, let's talk very briefly about what happened in Virginia. So, let me give you some of my lens because I believe that everybody is coming to that conversation with a lens. Everybody is coming to the conversation with probably some sort of bias. If you're a human, you have biases or biases, depending on who is talking in the pronunciation. All right. On my post, I said the internet, and yes, I meant internet, because that's the vernacular I chose to use. Yes, I know it's internet, but I said the internet because that's what's going on. The internet is dragging a girl, a black girl. Now, I'm a black woman. So, again, I'm going to come and talk from the lens of having been a black girl who is now a black woman. That's one of my lenses. Another lens: I've been a child advocate for 25 years. I'm going to always fight for children. So when it comes to that, you're not going to win with me because I'm always going to fight for children. Do I fight for parents? Of course I do. But I've been a child advocate for 25 years. I love children with all that is in me, and I'm going to fight for them. Here's the other part of that: I'm not just going to fight for the one that you think is right. All right? So that's the other part of my lens. The other part is I used to work at an all girls school with girls that came from all kinds of backgrounds, all different kind of demographics. girls with no children, girls with children on the way, girls with children that were at the school. So my lens is that lens when I talk about girls and black girls becoming women. Okay, that's a part of my lens. The other part of my lens is I was a student athlete. I ran track. I was pretty good at it. Got an MVP award. I ran with batons. I did relay races. I did the 400. I did the half a mile. Um, and I did hurdles. And I will never forget the time when I had one of my worst crash outs. And I was wearing cleats and I was going so fast in my crash out that I literally burned a hole through my cleats. So I think sometimes people don't understand how fast people are running, and all of this stuff is happening within seconds. And we're over analyzing in some cases. I feel like some of the comments have been over analyzing something that's happening in seconds. And we're also forgetting that these are two girls that, if you look developmentally, okay, prefrontal, that prefrontal lobe that we have developed as adults, well, theirs is not fully developed yet. So projecting onto them all of these wise decision making skills that we might have as adults is also not fair to the conversation that's happening. So I laid that out because I want people to understand what I'm saying and why I'm saying it. I do realize that people can be very argumentative on the internet, and I don't really like to be argumentative. I think people can disagree. I think that what happened was unfortunate. Some people are clearly seeing it as an accident, and some people are clearly not seeing it as an accident. You can have an accident and still be disqualified, people, especially in sports. It can be an accident, but it can be an accident that disqualifies you. You got to deal with that. You have to move past that, right? So, one last thing, because I'm giving some context here. When I say that people are dragging black girls or dragging this particular black girl, this is not just a statement of, oh, we should just let this girl off the hook, right? People are trying to judge an intent that you cannot judge by that incident. You can't judge her intent, but there's an ongoing investigation. Why is there an ongoing investigation? Because in that investigation, they can question people. They can look at the official who was on the ground, the umpire who was on the ground at the point of the incident. Now we know some decisions have already been made, right? But as to the furtherance of did she intentionally do it, that decision hasn't been made. And I'm sure that if they do a full investigation, they're going to have to go to character witnesses, right? They're going to have to ask questions about, is this girl known for doing this thing? So while there's an ongoing investigation, while they haven't made any final recommendations, I'm going to withhold my judgment on her intent. And here's what I will say about perception and lenses. When this incident first came out, one video was showed to the public. Most people saw that one video. So when other videos came out with other angles, guess what? As human beings, you saw that one initial video, and believe it or not, your perception was pretty set. Because from that one video, it looks pretty bad. It looks like she's whopping her in the head. Until you look at some other angles of that video. But by then, guess what? Perception has been set. And so I think if we back up, we cannot deny that that initial video coming out cemented in people's minds that this girl is a killer. I have seen everything from this girl is a killer, lock her up, you know, take her out of the sport forever. And I want to ask some people who are making these comments, is that an appropriate consequence? Then I've heard she didn't apologize. Well, again, if you go and look a little bit further at the updates, she's been blocked from apologizing, and there's a protective order against her, which means no communication. So, which one is it? Is she refusing to apologize, or is she being blocked from apologizing? According to what I saw, she's being blocked from apologizing. Okay. So, we tend to, from our lens, from our experiences, from our biases, we tend to judge a situation based on those things. And if we will be honest, if we will be honest as a community, we don't give a whole lot of grace to black girls. And somebody said, "Well, this is two black girls." I get it. We still don't give a lot of grace to black girls. That does not negate the fact that we don't give a lot of grace to black girls when we get into something. We don't. And so let's not be in denial of that. Now I want to read you some stats. Okay. Black girls, according to data, not opinion, data, face disproportionate treatment, including harder school discipline, perceptions of less innocence, disparities in healthcare, especially in maternal care and maternal health. School discipline. Black girls are more likely to receive harsher punishments than their white peers, even for similar infractions. Perceptions of less innocence. Adults may view black girls as less innocent and more adult like, leading to less nurturing and support. I have seen people say, well, if she's being so affected by her mental, then maybe she shouldn't be participating in sports. So now we're saying that people who have mental health issues, they shouldn't participate in sports. That's what we're saying now. That's what we're saying. I just want to be clear. So rather than support her, we're saying just take her out altogether. And if she does have mental health issues, guess what? Adults railing at her is not helping those mental health issues. I'm just saying. There's a little bit of dissonance happening there. If we're making fun of someone and saying, "Oh, she has mental health issues, she needs to get out of the way," and not offering support. Feeling less safe and connected. Black girls report feeling less safe and less connected to their schools than other groups of girls, which impacts their educational outcomes. Now, obviously, if I was a coach, I would think I would have second thoughts about putting her in another baton relay race. But does she's made it to the state level? Does that mean she should not race at all, or does that mean actual consequences? She's not participating in relay races. We're not putting a baton in her hand. There are other races she can participate in. So are we thinking about logical consequences, or are we thinking about just axing her potential as a track athlete altogether? Is this a, I didn't see any record of this being a history of incidences like this. So is this the response we give to people who have a first time incident? Is this the response that we give to people who have a first time incident? What about your first time incidences? Because I know some of us as adults, we jack stuff up. So if somebody wrote you off on your first time incident of a jack up, I want to know what your response would be to that. You messed up really bad. It was your first time, it was your only time. You had no history, you had no record of doing something wrong, but something really terrible went down. Should we be writing you off? That's what I want to know. Underrepresentation, mistrust, higher rates of certain health conditions. Black girls experience higher rates of certain health conditions, including chronic illnesses. So, my question is, have we rushed to judgment on yet another situation? Because again, this is still under investigation. But we have already demonized this little girl. We've already decided that she shouldn't have a career in sports. We've decided she should be suspended and other stuff. Now, obviously, physical harm has been done. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be taken care of. But all the other stuff that we are tacking on to the physical harm has been done. Repair needs to be made. I think we can all agree on that. Repair needs to be made. Whether that eventually ends up being with the parents having to fork over some funds for medical treatment, I think that's fair. But to say she must have been trying to harm her, I think we're projecting, and I think we're reading more into it than is actually there. So that is what I wanted to share on the situation. I want us to really pay attention to how we approach situations when it comes to black girls. We never say girls will be girls, but we often say boys will be boys when injuries occur, don't we? We do. So I want us to make sure that we are examining our own biases, make sure we're examining our own lenses. And again, because I am a child advocate, I want both girls to be well. I want both girls to come out of this situation better, whether it's the mental health aspect or whether it's the physical aspect. I want appropriate consequences to happen. Appropriate consequences to happen. And I trust that, as with all leagues, that the Virginia associations are going to do their due diligence. And if they find anything where this girl intentionally did this, she's going to deal with the consequences of it. But right now, from what I saw in those videos, I didn't see intentionally doing it. I saw some rules were broken on both ends. I saw one girl coming over into the lane too close for a boxing, is what they call it. She tried to do that too soon. That's what I saw. And I saw the other girl going off balance as a result of that. She already had bad form with her baton. That's a coaching issue. She already had bad form before the collision. So the collision didn't help. Um, but again, I'm going to continue to follow up on that story. I'm going to look for updates and see what conclusion they come to as a final conclusion. But right now, I think we are doing the most when it comes to this child. And I want us to remember she is still a child. She's not an adult with her full thinking capacity. She's not an adult who is supposed to be making mature decisions. And this race is happening within seconds. And because it is slowed down, I think people are expecting and overanalyzing and expecting a level of um, decision making that we would find with adults that I wouldn't necessarily find with a 16, 17-year-old child. All right. So that is what I wanted to say about it. I'm going to see if I can bring on Pastor Ben here. We'll see if he can come on. If you are watching by YouTube, I want to thank you for your time and attention. We're getting ready to have the talk back today on our Facebook page, Black Table Talk. You can meet us over there. Let me know in the comments what you think about that race. After you have, make sure you watch a video that shows all different angles of the race, and then come back and tell me what you think. Be well, and most importantly, be light.